and welcome back to Friday Reads, where we help you find your next read. I'm Jill.
And I'm Julie. We're bedazzled in our crowns today. Today we're featuring books that feature royals in honor of Queen Elizabeth's passing. So I'm going to turn it over to Jill for her first pick.
So my first pick is one of my favorite series that you might have seen on Netflix, Bridgerton series. This is the book that's related to that by Julia Quinn, called The Duke and I. This is Daphne's story. There are several others, like this is Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. This is Colin and Penelope's story. But we'll start with this one because this is the first one, and the first goes with the first season of Bridgerton, if you're interested. In the ballrooms and drawing rooms of Regency London, rules abound. From their earliest days, children of aristocrats learn how to address an earl and curtsy before a prince, while other dictates of a ton are unspoken yet universally understood. A proper duke should be imperious and aloof. A young marriageable lady should be amiable, but not too amiable. Daphne Bridgerton has always failed at the latter. The fourth of 8 siblings in her close-knit family, she has formed friendships with the most eligible young men in London. Everyone likes Daphne for her kindness and wit, but no one truly desires her. She is simply too deuced honest for that, too unwilling to play the romantic games that captivate gentlemen. Amiability is not a characteristic shared by Simon Basset, Duke of Hastings. Recently turned to England from abroad, he intends to shun both marriage and society, just as his callous father shunned Simon through his painful childhood. Yet an encounter with his best friend's sister offers another option. If Daphne agrees to a fake courtship, Simon can deter the mamas who parade their daughters before him. Daphne, meanwhile, will see her prospects and her reputation soar. The plan works like a charm at first, but amid the glittering, gossipy, cutthroat world of London's elite, there's only one certainty. Love ignores every rule, so...
She's a popular author.
Yeah.
My first pick comes from our biography section, and this is Elizabeth and Margaret, The Intimate World of the Windsor Sisters by Andrew Morton. This is perfect for fans of The Crown. It's a captivating biography from that New York Times best-selling author, and it follows both Queen Elizabeth II and her sister Margaret as they navigate life in the royal spotlight. They grew up the closest of sisters and best of friends, but when, in a twist of fate, their uncle Edward VIII decided to abdicate the throne, the dynamic between Elizabeth and Margaret was dramatically altered. Forevermore, Margaret would have to curtsy to the sister she called Lilibet and bow to her wishes. Elizabeth would always look upon her younger sister's antics with a kind of stoical amusement, but Margaret struggled to find a place and position inside the royal system, and her fraught relationship with its expectations was often a source of tension. From their cloistered early life through their hidden wartime lives into the divergent paths they took following their father's death and Elizabeth's ascension to the throne, this book explores their relationship over the years. It offers unique insight into these two drastically different sisters, one resigned to duty and responsibility and the other resistant to it, and the lasting impact they have had on the crown, the royal family, and the ways it adapted to the changing mores of the 20th century. So if you're interested more in learning about them, check out Elizabeth and Margaret, The Intimate World of the Windsor Sisters.
This one's a little different. This is a romantic comedy. It's by Tracy Livesey called American Royalty. It was published this year in 2022. It is kind of a take on Harry and the Duchess Meghan Markle, in which the prince wants to live out of the spotlight, falls for an American rapper who turns his life and the palace upside down. So here's some fun. Sexy-driven rapper Danielle Duchess Nelson is on the verge of signing a deal that'll make her one of the richest women in hip-hop. More importantly, it'll grant her control over her life. Something she's craved for years, but an incident with a rising pop star has gone viral, unfairly putting her deal in jeopardy. Concerned about her image, she's instructed to work on generating some positive publicity, or else. A brilliant professor and reclusive royal, Prince Jameson prefers life out of the spotlight, only leaving his ivory tower to attend weddings or funerals. But with the Queen's children involved in one scandal after another, the Parliament questioning the viability of the monarchy, and the Queen is desperate. In a quest for good press, she puts Jameson in charge of a tribute concert in her late husband's honor. Out of his depth and resentful at being called to service, he takes the advice of a student. After all, what's more appropriate for a royal concert than a performer named Duchess? Too late, Jameson discovers the American rapper is a popular, sexy, raunchy, and not what the Queen wanted, although he's having an entirely different reaction. Danny knows that this is good exposure she needs to cement her deal, and it doesn't hurt that the royal running things is fine as hell. Thrown together, they give in to the explosive attraction flaring between them, but as the glare of the limelight intensifies and outside forces try to interfere, will the prince and duchess be a fairy tale romance of the ages or a disaster of palatial proportions? So, American royalty.
Second pick, probably a familiar book, familiar author, Danielle Steele's Royal, published in 2020. In this tale, a princess is sent away to safety during the World War II, where she falls in love and is lost forever. As the war rages on in the summer of 1943, causing massive destruction and widespread fear, the king and queen chose to quietly send their youngest daughter, Princess Charlotte, to live with a trusted noble family in the country. Despite her fiery, headstrong nature, the princess's fragile health poses far too great a risk for her to remain in war-torn London. Third in line for the throne, 17-year-old Charlotte reluctantly uses an alias upon her arrival in Yorkshire, her two guardians the only true keepers of her true identity. In time, she settles comfortably into a life out of the spotlight, befriending a young evacuee and training with her cherished horse. But no one predicts that in the coming months she will fall deeply in love with her protector's son. She longs for a normal life. Far from her parents, a tragic turn of events leaves an infant orphaned. Alone in the world, that child will be raised in the most humble circumstances by a modest stable manager and his wife. No one, not even she, knows of her lineage. But when a stack of hidden letters comes to light, a secret kept for nearly 2 decades finally surfaces, and a long-lost princess emerges. So read Royal to find out how all these stories intertwine and tell us about this royal family.
Nobody ever complains about a Danielle Steele novel, ever. My next one is by Alison Pataki called The Queen's Fortune. This is a little different. It's got a little historical fiction. It's about a novel about a woman who captured Napoleon's heart and created a dynasty and changed the course of history. So, but it's fiction, so it's not, As the French Revolution ravages the country, Desiree Clary is faced with the life-altering truth that the world she has known and loved is gone and fallen on her to save her family from the guillotine. The chance encounter with Napoleon Bonaparte, the ambitious and charismatic young military prodigy, provides her answer. When her beloved sister Julie marries his brother Joseph, Desiree and Napoleon's futures become irrevocably linked. Quite quickly entering into their own passionate, dizzying courtship that leads to a secret engagement, they vow to meet in the capital once his career has been secured. But their newly laid plans with Napoleon's turn to sudden heartbreak thanks to the rising star of Parisian society, Josephine de Beauharnais. Once again, Desiree's life is turned on its head. Swept into the glittering halls of the French capital, Desiree is plunged into the inner circle of the new ruling class, becoming further entangled with Napoleon, his family, and the new empress. But her fortunes shift once again when she meets Napoleon's confidant and star general, the indomitable Jean-Baptiste Bernadotte. As the two men in Desiree's life become political rivals and military foes, the question that arises is, must she choose between the love of her new husband and the love of her nation and its emperor? From the lavish estates of French Riviera to the raucous streets of Paris and Stockholm, Desiree finds herself at the epicenter of the rise and fall of an empire. Navigating the constellation of political giants and dangerous shifting alliances, emerging from an impressionable girl into a fierce young woman, she discovers that to survive in this world, she must learn to rely on the instincts in her heart. So, yeah, this was published in 2020. If you like Napoleon love, could be the one for you.
My next pick is actually part of a series, and this is The Royal We, and this was published by Heather Cox and Jessica Morgan, and this is the first book in this series. American Rebecca Porter was never one for fairy tales. Her twin sister Lacey has always been the romantic who fantasized about glamour and royalty, fame and fortune. Yet it's Bex who seeks adventure at Oxford and finds herself living down the hall from Prince Nicholas, Great Britain's future king. And when Bex can't resist falling for Nick, the person behind the prince, it propels her into a world she didn't expect to inhabit, under a spotlight she's not prepared to face. Dating Nick immerses Bex in ritzy society, dazzling ski trips, and dinners at Kensington Palace with him and his charming, troublesome brother, Freddie. But the relationship also comes with unimaginable baggage, hysterical tabloids, Nick's sparkling and far more suitable ex-girlfriends, and a royal family whose private life is much thornier and more tragic than anyone on the outside knows. The pressures are almost too much to bear as Beck struggles to reconcile the man she loves with the monarch he's fated to become, which is how she gets into trouble. Now, on the eve of the wedding of the century, Bex is faced with whether everything she sacrificed for love, her career, her home, her family, maybe even herself, will have been for nothing. And this book gets followed up by The Heir Affair. This was published in 2020. So if you want to keep going with this series, this is the second one in this series. So the Royal We series.
Yeah, I've seen that one come up a lot on lists. So the next one, I was attracted to this one because it is dedicated to the Windsor princes, William and Harry. So I thought that was cool. So this is called To the Towerborn, a novel of the lost princes by Robin Maxwell. Debated for more than 5 centuries, the disappearance of the young princes Edward and Richard from the Tower of London in 1483 has stirred the imaginations of numerous writers from Shakespeare to Josephine Tey and posited the question, was Richard III the boy's murderer or was he not? In a captivating novel rich in mystery, color, and historical lore, Robin Maxwell offers a controversial perspective on this tantalizing enigma. The events are witnessed through the eyes of the quick-witted Nell Caxton, only daughter of the first English printer William Caxton, and Nell's dearest friend Bessie, daughter of the King of England, sister to the little princes, and founding ancestress to the Tudor dynasty. With great bravery and heart, the two friends navigate this dark and dangerous medieval landscape in which the king's death sets off a battle among the most scheming, ambitious, and murderous men and the women of their age, who will stop at nothing to possess the throne of England. So, yeah, murder, mystery, disappearing princes. It's got a lot in it there.
My fourth pick, popular author again. This is The Constant Princess by Philippa Gregory. This was published back in 2005. It's a splendid and sumptuous historical novel from this best-selling author, which tells the early life of Catherine of Aragon. We think of her as the barren wife of a notorious king, but behind this legacy lies a fascinating story. Catherine of Aragon is born Catalina, the Spanish infanta, to parents who are both rulers and warriors. Aged 4, she is betrothed to Arthur, Prince of Wales. Can't imagine that at age 4. And is raised to be Queen of England. She's never in doubt that it is her destiny to rule that far-off, wet, cold land. Her faith is tested when her prospective father-in-law greets her arrival in her new country with a great insult. Arthur seems little better than a boy. The food is strange and the customs coarse. Slowly, she begins to adapt to the first Tudor court, and life as Arthur's wife grows ever more bearable. But when the studious young man dies, she is left to make her own future. How can she now be queen and found a dynasty? Only by marrying Arthur's younger brother, the sunny but spoiled Henry. His father and grandmother are against it. Her powerful parents prove little use. Yet Catherine is her mother's daughter, and her fighting spirit is strong. She will do anything to achieve her aim, even if it means telling the greatest lie and holding to it. So, if you like Philippa Gregory books, check out The Constant Princess.
I like her books.
Yeah.
She really makes the whole thing real. So this next one's a little different. It's called The Windsor Knot by S.J. Bennett. This is good if you miss Queen Elizabeth and you don't really care about history that much. 'Cause in this one, they reimagine Queen Elizabeth as the second, secretly solving crimes while carrying out her royal duties. It is early spring 2016, and Queen Elizabeth is at Windsor Castle in advance of her 90th birthday celebrations. But the preparations are interrupted when the guest is found dead in one of the castle bedrooms. The scene suggests a young Russian pianist strangled himself, but a badly tied knot leads many to suspect foul play was involved. The Queen leaves the investigation to the professionals until their suspicions point them in the wrong direction. Unhappy at the mishandling of the case and concerned for her staff's morale, the monarch decides to discreetly take matters in their own hands. With the help of her assistant, Private Secretary Rosie O'Shodey, a British, Nigerian, and recent officer of the Royal Horse Artillery, the Queen secretly begins making inquiries. As she carries out her royal duties with her usual aplomb, no one in the royal household, the government, or the public knows that the resolute Elizabeth will use her keen eye, quick mind, and steady nerve to bring the murderer to justice. S.J. Bennett captures Queen Elizabeth's voice in a skill, nuance, and genuine charm in this imaginative and engaging mystery that portrays Her Majesty as she's rarely been seen. So.
That sounds like a fun pick. My last pick is The Gown by Jennifer Robson, published in 2018. It's London, 1947, besieged by the harshest winter in living memory, burdened by onerous shortages and rationing, the people of post-war Britain are enduring lives of quiet desperation despite their nation's recent victory. Among them are Anne Hughes and Miriam Dasson, embroiderers at the famed Mayfair fashion house of Norman Hartnell. Together, they forge an unlikely friendship, but their nascent hopes for a brighter future are tested when they are chosen for a once-in-a-lifetime honor, taking part in the creation of Princess Elizabeth's wedding gown. Toronto, 2016. More than half a century later, Heather Mackenzie seeks to unravel the mystery of a set of embroidered flowers, a legacy from her great-grandmother. How did her beloved Nan, a woman who really never spoke of her old life in Britain, come to possess the priceless embroideries that so closely resemble the motifs on the stunning gown worn by Queen Elizabeth at her wedding almost 70 years earlier? And what was her Nan's connection to the celebrated textile artist and Holocaust survivor Miriam Dasson? With this book, Jennifer Robson takes us inside the workrooms where one of the most famous wedding gowns in history was created, balancing behind-the-scenes details with a sweeping portrait of a society left reeling by the calamitous costs of victory. She introduces readers to three unforgettable heroines, their points of view alternating and intersecting throughout the pages. Their lives are woven together by the pain of survival, the bonds of friendship, and the redemptive power of love. So, The Gown.
Yeah, I think that's a book club too.
Yeah, it is.
So we hope we helped you find something to read if you're in the mood for some royal reading.
Thank you for watching our video. You know you can find us on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Jill puts a link on our website to link to us to the YouTube channel, so you know where to find us. You can't miss us wearing our tiaras this week. We always like to hear from you. Like, comment, share. Tell us what you're reading. If you've got a favorite book about royalty or princes, princesses, queens, let us know. We'd
or
love
a subject you want to hear about.
or a future subject for us. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, thank you for watching.
Bye.